The ARCA Menards series is in the gateway to the west, and there is the famous Arch of St. Louis. Well, we are just over the river at Worldwide Technology Raceway for the Day-to-Day Coffee 150 presented by Lucas Oil. It's round number 6 of the General Tire Super Speedway Challenge here today at Gateway. And it's been a tumultuous day of weather. When we woke up this morning in this area, strong thunderstorms overhead, but now sunny skies. It feels like 82, but with the humidity, it feels a whole heck of a lot hotter. Hello, everybody. I am Bob Dillner. Alongside of me is Jim Trado. And Jim, we're looking forward to Gateway here, but this race really poses a challenge for all these competitors.
There were to be 2 practice sessions and a qualifying session. That all got washed into about a 35-minute session for these cars to hit the track after 3 o'clock. That's not that far removed, 3.5 hours ago. So these teams have really been busting butt, but they don't really know what they have yet because of that limited track time.
So many storylines coming into today's ARCA Menards Series event here at Gateway. Let's take a look at a few of them. Travis Braden, the kid out of West Virginia, battling for a championship. It's been a roller coaster year for that West Virginia University graduate. This team, an independent team, and they are close to trying to secure their first championship. Brett Holmes, the kid out of Alabama, comes in second in the point standings. Shane Huffman has this team really tuned up. That 23 car so close to going to victory lane for the first time. And speaking of first time, there are plenty of first timers here on the big track of Gateway. Chandler Smith, Sam Mayer, the kid out of Wisconsin, Ty Gibbs and Carson Hocevar, all going for win number 1 here at this racetrack on a super speedway. And then Frank Kimmel, the 10-time champion, what is he doing these days? Working for Venturini Motorsports and really working with young drivers. Today he works with Gavin Harlan, who is a former off-road racer. And speaking of a busy day, these two gentlemen, Christian Eckes and Chandler Smith, doing double duty today.
Going back and forth from Venturini Motorsports cars over to Kyle Busch's trucks. They were both top 10 in practice speeds, and the ARCA practice right after that was a truck practice. So these guys may have a little bit of an edge early on what these cars will do when we start this race.
Both of those drivers expected to be strong in tonight's NASCAR Truck Series race. Let's go downstairs for the command.
And now, race fans, it is time to crank the engines. And for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome back to the mic, Jim Schlicker with Day-to-Day Coffee.
I would like to welcome everyone to the Gateway Day-to-Day Coffee 150. Day-to-Day Coffee is that great tasting premium coffee you can find at your favorite Menards. So at this time, I'd like to say, drivers, start your engines!
A great job with the command to fire engines here for the ARCA Menards Series. There you see all the cars lined up on pit road. The drivers are set to do battle here tonight. Who will go to victory lane? That's a big question here tonight. Will it be one of those young guns that we spoke about? Travis Braden in the 27, hoping to get his second career win. We'll be back with the green flag here at Gateway. Let's take a look at the Geico 411 for this ARCA Menards Series event at Worldwide Technology Raceway. 120 laps is what we will see tonight, but everybody looking at that pit window of 75 to 85 laps.
That's critical, Bob, because I think they'll want to be on pit road before that. That's kind of the window going into this, but so many unknowns about how these cars handle. Springs, shocks being thrown at the cars. I don't think anyone was satisfied with their setups at the end of that brief practice session.
Well, that practice session was good for some, not as good for others. Let's bring in the third member of our broadcast team, Alex Hayden, to find out more about Ty Gibbs and Joe Gibbs Racing.
As close as Ty Gibbs has come to winning races here in the ARCA Menards Series this year, he's had a fast race car, but a problem in practice. He felt like something was wrong with the engine. He brought the car in towards the end of practice, found out for sure that it was going to be an engine change because they broke a valve spring on that engine. They dropped a new one in. He's going to have to start at the back of the field, and he's going to have to rely on these guys to get that track position with the pit stops.
3 runner-up finishes for Ty Gibbs this year already. Let's take a look at what happened earlier today. Qualifying washed out by Mother Nature, so there was a combination practice qualifying session. And for the 4th time this year, Michael Self, the point leader with the General Tire Pole Award.
Yeah, what he did in this practice session, so we need to put down a fast lap. We need to put fresh Goodyear General Tires on here. We need a good run. They got that on a single lap flyer and a mock run to win that pole.
22 cars in tonight's starting lineup here At this racetrack, 1.25 miles in length, Michael Self on the front row with his Venturini Motorsports teammate, Christian Eckes.
Yeah, what I like to see here is Brett Holmes is sitting back there in the 5th position. He has a strong car, very much confidence coming to this. One of the few drivers in this first row of 4 that has actually been to this racetrack.
Tanner Gray and Ty Gibbs in row number 4. Gibbs will go to the rear of the field for tonight's starting lineup here at Gateway. Drew Dollar making his first series start in a David Gilliland car, and Travis Braden, 3rd in points, coming in, will start 10th.
Gavin Harlan in number 55. He's the driver that Frank Kimmel will be keeping an eye on from the pit box.
Tommy Bai Jr., he's got a top 10 this year in the ARCA Menards Series, hoping for another. He just missed it at Madison a couple of weeks ago. Great starting field, as well as the ageless one, Wayne Peterson, starting last on the field here today.
81 years young. I think he might be the oldest driver ever to start an ARCA race, Bob.
That's
History being made here today. 15-year-olds and 81-year-olds.
What are your keys to tonight's race?
You know, it really comes down to that track time, and I really believe that little track time is going to be a big factor in this race. How did they guess it right? The track's been hot. There's been a 1-hour truck practice since that practice time. That's a key component to keep an eye on because that will determine the speeds going forward or drifting back based upon handling. Corner exit speed's huge. Some teams are going to shift, some are not. But that corner exit speed on these long straightaways is huge. Down from turn 2 down the backstretch, that's what some of these teams were keying on in that limited practice run. Also, I think because the track, we don't know, they put down some treatment on the track to try to widen the groove, but track position has traditionally been a handful here at this racetrack. At Worldwide Technology Racetrack, it got narrow at points, and it was hard to pass, so we'll see how that plays a factor.
Our Bounty Rookie Spotlight from Venturini Motorsports, making his first ARCA Menards Series start. Former off-road racer, especially in the Lucas Oil Off-Road Racing Series, Gavin Harlan.
Boy, all the accomplishments he said. Last year's ARCA champion Sheldon Creed really helped nurture him towards, if I want to go stock car racing, where do I go? He said, go to the ARCA Menards Series. Sheldon won this race last year. He's been in discussion with Gavin, but Gavin's been relying upon Frank Kimmel. And the note on the quarter panel, #4Presley, his younger sister by a year has autism. And he said, I want to make awareness. I know she's watching at home with grandma. He wants to make sure how much he appreciates what she does and wants to make sure there's autism awareness everywhere he races.
He is so excited about racing this event here today. 2 more times we'll see him in the ARCA Menards Series this year in 2019. So you see Michael Self, the point leader coming in, chooses the outside lane for this start.
Interesting there because I always talked about how much this could be a 1-lane racetrack. Well, guess what? Turn 1 seems to be widening out during that truck practice, Bob. I was watching. It got a little bit wider, so that's what Self sees as an advantage, obviously.
The ARCA Menards Series is alive and kicking in the Gateway to the west here. A bold move there by Chandler Smith, but it doesn't pay off. He tried to work his way from the second row to the lead. He got by his teammate Christian Eckes to move into second, but then when he pulled right alongside of the 25 of Michael Self, he wasn't able to pull off the move. There's some contact there, and that happened a couple of weeks ago in Madison, Wisconsin as well.
We were not privy to the team meeting, but these 3 cars are all housed under the Venturini Motorsports shop. Those drivers, these 3 were in it. They were talking about contact. Actually, the car running third there, the white number 15, Christian Eckes, spun down to the inside while trying to challenge Michael Self in the green 25 for the lead at that Madison half mile. So these drivers trying to play nice here, but Chandler Smith certainly made his presence known and won that race by giving his teammate a rear bumper shove going into the corner. So they're playing nice now, but it's a matter of these 3 drivers trying to decide how much they can gap the field potentially here early on.
Remember, this is the first start for Chandler Smith, just 16 years old, out of Talking Rock, Georgia, here at Gateway. Michael Self, coincidentally, has never raced here. He's been here to this racetrack as a spotter for Justin Haley, but this is his first time. Christian Eckes in third right now. He actually has some experience, finished in the top 10 here last year, but I want you to take a look at the corner here. You see the dark groove way up top where Christian Eckes was, and it's lighter gray down the bottom. That's the substance that they put on that you talked about in that upper groove, and a lot of teams believe that it's going to come into play later in this race.
Veteran spotter David Pepper is working with Gavin Harline. I talked to him because he obviously works with Thorsport Racing on a day-to-day basis and is a spotter for that very potent NASCAR truck team that's won 3 championships. I looked at the track and he said, you know what I saw in that truck practice, the surface is going to wear where they might get 2 grooves. They've done a nice job, but it's not going to be critical. He said, but crossing that may be a slick point. And I heard that in our ARCA Menards practice on the two-way radios. That's going to be a tricky point to get around. Now we've got more heat, more laps since the discussion that we had at 3 o'clock this afternoon. I think these drivers are figuring it out pretty quickly.
Ty Gibbs running in the 6th spot in that 18, just got by the 22 of Corey Heim. And there is Travis Braden in the 27, one of the more elder statesmen, so to speak.
He had an issue with a blower fan, actually, Bob. So he was starting in the back as he was. He certainly wanted to qualify better, but that was not an opportunity. But in practice, they actually had a blower motor go on one of their front fans to the left front brake area. And that caused a big delay in what they were able to do in practice. So the good thing they got that sorted.
And look at how strong Ty Gibbs is. After that, having to change engines, he's coming up through the field solidly right now in that 6th spot. So Ty Gibbs having a very good run early on. He felt his car was really good. I spoke to his crew chief, Mark McFarland, and he said other than the engine issue, they were really good in practice.
These General tires hold up really well on this surface. There's been no dramatic changes. Very few teams, though, Bob, have taken the time to test here at this racetrack. Gibbs, in his progress through here, he's been smooth. He's been fast at every track run, but he's never been on a track this big before for that 16-year-old out of North Carolina.
They see the 77 of Joe Graff Jr. for that Chad Bryant Racing team. He's up there working that second groove in a little bit. And here's the key. A lot of people were looking at what happened in NASCAR Truck Series practice today. They felt the quicker you can work in that outside groove, the faster it will become and the more prominent it will become in today's ARCA race.
We see a first-timer here in the gray and black, number 4. Drew Dollar, perhaps holding up Brett Holmes slightly here in the red number 23.
Closing in on 10 laps into this one. Michael Self and Chandler Smith continue to run just about where they were here just a little while ago. Chandler Smith a few car lengths behind that Sinclair machine.
Boy, passing in the middle of turn 3, where it's the freest ever, getting around the 06 with Tim Richmond. That was a close one there for the leaders.
You know, if you listen to the post-race interviews of both of these gentlemen, Chandler Smith won the race at Madison. Michael Self was not happy, did not bash his Venturini Motorsports teammate, but said some of the young kids like Chandler basically need to learn a little bit more patience. Well, if you take a look at it, to some degree, it was a little bit of a textbook move by Chandler Smith on what he did to Michael Self, because he didn't get him in the middle of the corner where Michael Self would have spun out. He just pushed him up a groove going into turn number 1, let him go, passed him for the lead and the victory.
And the confidence, Bob, that the number 20 driver has right now, Chandler Smith, went from Madison, Wisconsin, right to Iowa Speedway to make his Truck Series debut. He drove Kyle Busch's truck to the fastest in practice in his first ever truck race. Ended up starting on the pole and finished top 10. So good job by Chandler, who's doing double duty here again tonight in the ARCA Menards Series and the NASCAR Gander Outdoors Truck Series.
This race is going to develop throughout the entire 120-lap distance. Michael Self, the point leader, already with 3 wins on the season. But who else will go to victory lane in the ARCA Menards Series this year? We'll find out if one of these drivers can today at Gateway.
Menards Series is brought to you by General Tire. Anywhere is possible. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards.
Under caution for the first time here tonight in the Day-to-Day Coffee 150 presented by Lucas Oil at Worldwide Technology Raceway for the ARCA Menards Series. Had an incident including one of our championship contenders, Brett Holmes, in that 23 car. Let's take a look at what happened to Brett Holmes out of Alabama. Definitely a bad break for him early in this race. We take a look. He's battling with Drew Dollar in that number 4 machine for David Gilliland Racing. And the 23 and the 4 just make a little contact. Looked like Holmes just drifted high a little bit.
Washed up. Perhaps the 4 was a little bit lower than the 23 driver Brett Holmes is expecting coming off of turn 2. They want to get a wide sweeping arc, and unfortunately Dollar did not have enough room there for Brett Holmes to catch it and save it, and he stopped on the racetrack, Bob, after this spin.
Close call there with several drivers just zooming by him as they came off of turn number 2. Let's find out more with Alex Hayden.
Well, you guys mentioned it on the replay. You saw that the car just basically washed up the racetrack, couldn't keep it off of the 4 car. Now, the biggest problem, after a harmless spin like that, he couldn't get the engine to refire. He lost all kinds of track position and valuable time waiting for the tow truck to come to him to get him the push that he needs. He's got the engine running now, but yeah, tough break right there for Brett Holmes, one of the championship contenders.
And he's coming down pit road here right now at Gateway. And Brett did tell me earlier today that he had trouble with that 23 in practice. It was very tight. It didn't want to turn in the corner. It would wash up the racetrack, and that's sort of what we just saw right there.
And it's kind of a guess too, Bob. The number 06 also was involved in the spin with Tim Richmond. But what I see now is these teams are figuring out, can I stay on the bottom? How long can I stay on the bottom of the racetrack?
What's neat about the ARCA Menards series is, especially with MAV TV, we have all the short tracks, but what we're seeing here today is part of the General Tire Super Speedway Challenge. Harrison Burton, Todd Gilliland, Ty Majeski twice over this year. 9 races in all. Michael Self won at Michigan, but some great racetracks throughout the season here in this Super Speedway Challenge.
I love the fact we go to big tracks, so we end up at Kansas Speedway, the mile-and-a-half track that's determined the championship the last few years. That plays into Michael Self's favor. If you look at all the races between now and then, he loves these bigger racetracks.
And that's what, again, I love about ARCA, is the fact that they have the short tracks, they have the super speedways, and it's a great rung in the ladder for a lot of drivers hoping to climb into the upper echelons of NASCAR. You see several teams coming down pit road right now. Is that Chandler Smith? I believe Chandler Smith in the 20.
He was coming slowly down pit road, and I talked to his crew chief, Billy Venturini, before the race. He said,
don't know.
It's not good. We have got a lot of changes on this race car, and it's not under power right now, Bob. That's a huge, huge blow for the 16-year-old racing all the short tracks, and this is his first big track start in the ARCA Menards series.
Doing double duty today at Worldwide Technology Raceway. He'll race a Kyle Busch truck a little bit later on here tonight. So one of the double duty drivers already with trouble just 14 laps into this race.
And what I see now, I thought the early change for the 20, hey, we don't know what we have. Let's get Chandler a better race car. They know their car has been fast in practice. They unfortunately are taking a long time. As they're kneeling down looking things over, I couldn't tell if they're looking at the left rear fender well where the battery is. Because if that car's out of power, that battery's right in front of the left rear wheel in the fender well. That could be where they're trying to figure out where they need to attack this problem.
Alex, what do you know?
Well, they're saying that it may be a left rear broken axle on the Chandler Smith car right now. They're still trying to diagnose exactly what the problem is, but the initial report's a broken axle on the left rear, and that's a tough one.
Huge break for the team that leads the points in the owners category this year. With all the success they've had, top 10 finishes every race in jeopardy as well for that team.
So bad break for the 16-year-old Chandler Smith and that Venturini Motorsports team early in this one. Michael Self continues to dominate the Day-to-Day Coffee 150 presented by Lucas Oil. Just back to green flag action here at Gateway for the ARCA Menards series, the Day-to-Day Coffee 150 presented by Lucas Oil. Michael Self leading, but we got quite the battle brewing for that second spot. The 15 of Christian Eckes and Ty Gibbs, who changed engines and has come all the way up from the rear of the field to now run third.
That monster claw on the hood is getting really big in the rearview mirror of the second place car of Christian Eckes. What a great drive through the field by Ty Gibbs. 16 years of age, never driven on a track this big, really got it together. He knew he had an engine issue in practice. They went to work on it. He got what he wanted. Give me a fresh bullet under the hood and let me go to work.
Here's what's really interesting. Sam Mayer in that 21, just 15 years old. He'll turn 16 later on this week. Doesn't even know what he's going to do for his birthday celebration. He does have a permit, by the way, but he's still looking forward to getting his driver's license at some point. But part of the development pool here in the ARCA Menards series.
What's great about this is he's racing full-time in the K&N Pro Series East. If you don't know, NASCAR bought the ARCA Menards series last April, and they're going to work on how they can be compatible. So Sam Mayer racing a handful of races already this year in this series. He's getting a jump. Drew Dollar's in this field as well. He's top 5 in points right now in the NASCAR K&N East series. So I think it's great that Sam has the ability to come here with Marty Lindley a very, very strong and smart crew chief to get this car dialed in at a racetrack he'll race later on in the East Series for points.
This is a battle for 6th on the racetrack. Carson Hocevar out of Michigan, another one of the teenagers, just 16 years old. His first time, like Sam Mayer, at a track over a mile in length. And honestly, Carson Hocevar really struggled in practice earlier on. That car was just wicked loose. And right now, he's having a pretty good run up to the 7th spot.
He made a gear change after practice with his crew chief, Mike Bursley, and these two teammates are all under the Driver's Edge development program with Chevrolet, GMS Racing, Junior Motorsports. They've spent a lot of time together recently, and seeing them run together is not a surprise, but they went to a road racing school, Bob. So I asked Carson, hey, are you shifting or not here? He said, no, we just got to get our gearing right to get off of that second corner better.
By the way, you see the 23 car, Brett Holmes, the reason for our first caution period today at Gateway. He is now 2 laps down. Remember, came into this race second in the point standings, just 35 markers out of the lead.
Every position's 5 points, but you also have to factor in there's a free pass opportunity for the first car that's not on lead lap to gain a lap back if there is a caution. So perhaps Brett can bank on that. And if he gets the speed to get in that position, being the first car 2 laps down, then he gets an opportunity to maybe make it up on the racetrack as well.
Alex Hayden, what can you tell us about that 23 car right now?
He says the car is wicked loose right now, Bob, meaning the back tires are not gripping the racetrack as well as the front tires are, and it makes the car want to swap ends. That means he's almost having to counter steer. He's back actually steering to the right when he's going through the left-hand turns here at this racetrack. That's never a really good feeling when the car is that free.
Battle for the lead right here between Michael Self and Christian Eckes. They started on the front row together just like we see them running right now. And now Eckes trying to go underneath. Already a winner this year a couple of months ago at the Fairground Speedway Nashville.
This run, though, will tell us right now what groove is preferred. And Michael Self has kept to the outside, kept true to the outside. He's allowed his teammates now to duck underneath, but he's had more momentum, more exit speed off the corner to hold that top spot. And that's Sinclair Lubricants number 25.
A lot of good development here with engines and chassis and over the years with the ARCA series. And honestly, there's a good story in the field here today, including one of our championship competitors as we look at this pair right now. Continue to go neck and neck for the lead between Michael Self as well as the 15 of Christian Eckes. But I'm talking about Travis Braden in that 27 car. He's mired back in the 9th spot right now. But he is a guy that works on his car. The team works on his car. Michael Self and Christian Eckes, they are in the shop at Venturini Motorsports as well. And the 15 continues to look underneath Michael Self, and he's so good in turn number 4.
With that peak each time, he has Michael Self thinking as well. Michael knows that if he has a line change or if he wants to try the bottom, Eckes will be there. If the bottom is better, Self better figure it out pretty quickly because he's committed to the outside to this point, 26 laps into this 120 lapper.
We look on the right-hand side of your screen, Sam Mayer, Carson Hocevar. They still battle for that 6th spot. Hocevar almost had the run on the outside of the 21 with that GMS car.
Tracking out was something Sam did really well there, but I think Hocevar started to play with his line a little bit. The former outlaw late model racer at age 12 with Johnny Benson telling him how to get around racetracks. He has progressed now to this is his biggest racetrack, and it's really been a puzzle for him to this point. Great to see him figuring out different lines perhaps to pass his teammate on the Chevrolet umbrella.
You see the yellow flag fly and the yellow lights come on around this racetrack, 1.25 miles in length. Michael Self will slow down. Christian Eckes has been battling with him for that top spot. Ty Gibbs currently running in the 3rd position. The number 55 of Gavin Harlan, I'm told, is going to be bringing out this caution here. Harlan, our Bounty rookie spotlight. And there's the 54 car. The 54 of Tanner Gray also involved in what's going on the racetrack. That's out of the David Gilliland Racing Stables. Tanner Gray, I'm told, has spun on the racetrack.
Another driver making his first start on a track this big. Tanner Gray certainly knows how to get it done behind us on the drag strip here at Worldwide Technology Raceway and is now back up to speed. But I noticed that team was doing a lot of work in a very short period of time during practice and after getting his car prepared to present for the race tonight. So Tanner Gray, another one of those 13 or 14 drivers in the field that have yet to race here in a full race.
Got a clarification from the ARCA officials. Gavin Harlan spun on the racetrack. Tanner Gray in the 54 just slowed during this caution period. So second caution of this race coming out at lap 27.
Gives another chance to give these teams an idea. What do we need to change on the car? What do these teams, now he's trying to catch up here, the 55 of Harlan. What can we do to make your car better? That's the discussion going on now. And at lap 28, it may be a little early to take on tires, but if there needs to be a big swing, I'd say it's going to come here under this caution.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Gavin Harlan comes down pit road here under caution. And he really loves that off-road stuff. But as you mentioned, Sheldon Creed, a former Pro Light champion in the Lucas Oil Off-Road Racing Series, convincing him to come over to the stock car scene. Honestly, Gavin Harlan told me today they are hoping to run full-time for Venturini Motorsports next year for Rookie of the Year.
Such a pleasant driver, and he's been able to race at the Chili Bowl, race off-road in various disciplines. He said it's just a matter of getting used to another discipline, and he's liking what he has thus far as I talked to him after practice.
This is interesting. You talk about the strategy involved here. Corey Heim in that black number 22, he relinquishes a top 5 spot. He was running in 4th to come down pit road. Tanner Gray in the 54, the NHRA star, 2-time Pro Stock champion, is on pit road as well as the 27 of Travis Braden. So some heavy hitters on pit road 30 laps into this one, a little bit earlier than we expected. There's Gavin Harlan as well in the 55 as Travis Braden pulls off pit road.
Yeah, the gamble here is how good was our car in practice. If it's way different now because it's now the sun is starting to set behind the grandstand, may cool down the temperatures a bit. Here on the French stretch, we see the shadows reaching across. I think this is a smart move because, you know what, these guys always know on these size tracks, there could be a long period of green flag racing, and if the car's not right, it's going to get really wrong in a longer run.
Drew Dollar was also running very well. He came down pit road as well. Chandler Smith looks like he might be out of this one. They're trying to fix that car to come back out, but Michael Self continues to dominate here. They call him the Super Speedway King. Can he win on the Super Speedway again in 2019? Michael Self, so strong in the ARCA Menards series. He is your series points leader coming into Gateway. Welcome back to the ARCA Menards series Day-to-Day Coffee 150 presented by Lucas Oil at Worldwide Technology Raceway just outside of St. Louis, Missouri. Under caution, 31 laps into 120 here, and it's been fun watching point leader Michael Self win this one, or actually try to go for another win here. Brett Holmes comes into this race 35 points out, but he's already had trouble here at Gateway tonight.
Travis Braden sitting in 3rd in points, coming off of his best finish this season at Madison International Speedway in Wisconsin. Christian Eckes, he's had some troubles. He's had some issues. He's also been able to rebound and finish top 10 a bunch in races and overcoming issues. So it's great to see Christian with a good run tonight. Some issues ahead of him. I think he's right back in this points championship run, sitting 4th right now coming into tonight.
That would certainly be interesting for sure. Joe Graff Jr. right there in the 5th spot. And just to clarify something here, the number 18 car of Ty Gibbs, he was able to actually keep his regular starting spot because there was no qualifying here today. He was able to start 8th. He did not go to the rear, so still a good run for Ty Gibbs, who currently runs 3rd.
But how quickly he got to 3rd place, and now again on this run, he's not done trying to pass cars here. I think Ty is really going to give these 2 Venturini teammates on the front row on this restart a really good run for their money.
What's going on with Corey Heim and that strategy, Alex?
Well, let's find out from the crew chief, Paul Andrews here. Paul, you guys came to pit road with just a few cars. What's the strategy?
Well, I feel like we can almost make it all the way. The other tires is really not a big issue here, so I feel like that we can come in and top off when those guys come in and do tires and still be very competitive and have a shot to win. That's what it's all about right now.
It's all about that second pit stop, guys. Stay on pit road less than everybody else.
The Carbon Racing Solutions number 22 for Corey Heim, and definitely a shootout here today. A little bit of a gamble for sure from Paul Andrews.
That team debuted a chassis at Charlotte. They won with Ty Majeski. They won the next race at Pocono. At Michigan. They ran out of gas on the last lap. They almost won 3 in a row. So talking about gambling and calculating on these big tracks, what a great effort Corey Heim has with Paul Andrews and Chad Bryant Racing on the pit box making these calls.
And honestly, normally when they have qualifying, if you do an engine change, Ty Gibbs will go to the rear. But since they didn't have qualifying today, Ty Gibbs starting up there. So we apologize for that. What we reported a little bit earlier for Ty Gibbs, still a great run for that young driver trying to come up and win for the first time here in ARCA.
On this restart, I'm going to keep on the black number 18 sitting inside row 2, Bob.
Let's see what Ty Gibbs does. He was penalized at Madison, Wisconsin for jumping out of line. He stays in line here. Let's see if he can follow Christian Eckes. Eckes has been really strong in turns 3 and 4. They're now exiting 2 and heading down the backstretch.
Sam Mayer has something to say about it. He jumps to third now from the outside of that second row on the restart in car 21.
Look at Hocevar. Carson Hocevar, who admittedly really struggled in practice, said he was having trouble getting used to the racetrack. The car was way too loose. Mike Bursley and this team, they took a big swing at things coming into this race, and right now he's battling in the top 5. Currently running, it's hard to tell which car is out ahead right now, but that's a battle for 4th on the track.
And that's to have a whole lot of steam coming up on the backside of Sam Mayer. You saw the price he paid, though. He went hard into turn 3, had the drift up in 4, and Ty Gibbs got even with him on the front stretch. Let's see how those young drivers approach this corner. 16 years old, chasing 16-year-olds chasing that 15-year-old in the 21, Sam Mayer.
And then you have an 18-year-old out in front there with Christian Eckes in the second spot. And, of course, Michael Self, 28 years young. He says he's the old dude in ARCA this year.
But the great thing about it is he's got very, very strong teammates that have strengths that he's drawing from. And Michael Self has certainly proved a championship contender, overcoming a couple of setbacks this year. A crash at Daytona, a penalty last race, coming into last race. Really doing a nice job, Self has, to kind of wash that away and continue to chomp away and build a point lead.
It's so impressive to see these young drivers do so well. Ty Gibbs, never been on a track more than 1 mile in length. The same could be said for Sam Mayer and Carson Hocevar. Remember, they're used to bull rings. They're used to the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge here in ARCA, but today really learning how to tackle a super speedway here at Gateway. There is the number 27 machine of Travis Braden. Brett Holmes still being scored 2 laps down. Braden in the 10th spot. There's the 22 of Corey Heim trying to work his way through the field after an early stop here in that last caution period.
And this is where the tires are going to pay off here. The 22 of Corey Heim way quicker into the corner here. The last of the 4 cars in this shot coming through turns 3 and 4 down this long front straightaway. We'll see if he can duck in or will stay in line this time. Again, Brett Holmes also had a pit stop. He's a couple laps down, but he's got a very fast car with fresher, good general tires on this good run here by these cars. And look at Holmes turn underneath. Great move by Brett. He's got a good handling race car. Just unfortunately, he had that spin early on.
Brett Holmes hoping to get a lap back. Remember, a free pass with each caution period and hoping to put himself in position. He could technically get back on the lead lap and rebound with a good finish. Look at the 22.
Had to get on the brakes there, Bob.
Into the corner.
He had to jump on the brakes, otherwise you'd have been part of the number 4 rear bumper in a quick hurry. Drew Dollar through the corner. Heim had a good run, but Dollar had the position and chopped him off, if you will, because he was running to get more speed to keep him behind him. And look at what it cost him, 3 spots down in 1 turn.
Teammates right here with the number 4 of Drew Dollar and Tanner Gray in the 54. That's for David Gilliland Racing. And how about Drew Dollar? Just a couple of years ago, he was running Legends cars. Last year, he was even running Legends cars. Ran some Pro Late model stuff, especially earlier this year. Went to the K&N East circuit. And now really trying his hand here in ARCA to prepare themselves for next year. And Drew Dollar has been very impressive with limited amount of time here on the Super Speedway.
And he and his teammate got a chance to test here last weekend. So the 4 and the 54 are teammates, Tanner Gray and the 4 of Drew Dollar. They got a chance to come here and test. He said that was huge. He said, I would have loved about twice as many laps. But they got some time in here. I think that's why Drew is doing so well now. A lot of question marks were taken off the box of wonder by getting that test day here.
Put Corey Heim up into 8th. Drew Dollar back a spot on the racetrack. By the way, that test that they had here, you were talking about wanting more laps. Rains came down and kind of cut that test short a little bit this past Monday. But here's the battle for the top 2 spots. Michael Self and Christian Eckes. And look at that run that Christian Eckes gets off the corner. This kid likes Gateway. He came here in the NASCAR Truck Series last year for Kyle Busch Motorsports. Won a segment. Almost looks like almost a little contact there between Drew Dollar in the 4 and Travis Braden. Dollar now back to 9th, and Travis Braden is 10th.
Yeah, Christian Eckes did a double duty here last year in his debut in the Truck Series with Kyle Busch Motorsports in that double duty factor. And what we found today is they didn't have as much track time, but when the heated temperatures got up there, I asked Christian how he was doing. He had a bottle of water in one hand and a light snack in the other. These drivers are really knowing how to take care of themselves in hydration and diet now. They're taking it serious at 15 and 16 and 18 years of age. And Eckes has no problem going underneath his teammate here for the lead.
Christian Eckes to the lead here at Worldwide Technology Raceway in the ARCA Menards Series. 42 laps into this one. Christian Eckes with a little chip on his shoulder. I was very disappointed that he missed that race at Salem. Missed the start. Trouble for Tanner Gray. Tanner Gray up into the wall in the number 54. Last year, he won over on the drag strip at Gateway to seal his championship in the NHRA Pro Stock realm. And today, he gets into the wall here at Gateway.
Doesn't take much, and we see that the left rear appears to be down as well. The rear end's walking a little funky as well. I think maybe more than just the tire down, Bob.
It's kabobbled.
That's the word? Long Island's favorite word.
That's right. They
like their hot dogs, they like their hockey, and they like kabobble as a term for most everything.
Tanner Gray running the NASCAR Can-Am Pro Series East Circuit and a part-time schedule here in ARCA to try to get that experience on the oval tracks. Let's take a look at what happened to the driver of the 54. It was just in front of the 4 of Drew Dollar, his teammate in the 27 of Travis Braden, and you saw that smoke erupt right in front of the 4. Tanner Gray just getting a little bit loose and into the wall.
Yeah, unfortunately for those guys, they got a lot of the wall. That left rear tire is down. He's got a long way to come around the pit area. We'll see how they can get that car righted. His crew chief, Seth Smith, has been with him every race he's done in stock car racing since making that transition back to oval racing. And there's going to be some work to be done there. Blake Brainbridge was working on this car as well. They've got a great depth at DGR Crosley Racing. Now we see the carcass flip out from the tire, so that'll probably have to be picked up as well to extend this caution.
So the question is, when pit road is open, will other drivers come down pit road? Honestly, to some degree, it's a little bit early still in the game.
But do you see how fast the 22 car was
yes.
fresh rubber?
Oh, yes.
I think that's also something to take in consideration. The spotters on the roof, some are working double duty for the truck race in this race. I think the crew chiefs are probably going to say, you see how fast he was? See how many cars he passed on a given corner? Tires might be a good option right now as we're 43 laps into this one.
Doesn't look like leader Christian Eckes or many others are coming down pit road. Christian Eckes so good here today, hoping to win for the 5th time in the ARCA Menards Series. He is just 18 years old out of Middletown, New York. Christian Eckes leads here at Gateway. Christian Eckes now leads here on the ARCA Menards Series at Worldwide Technology Raceway. We are in Madison, Illinois, under caution once again here, 45 laps into this race. Let's take a look at how Christian Eckes got the lead with an inside pass, and these two dueled, Michael Self and Christian Eckes, for a couple of laps.
Textbook move to get some of that air off the rear spoiler of Michael Self's car. He's not able to keep the car totally in the air by itself. A little disturbance of the air on the left rear quarter panel allowed Michael Self's teammate Christian Eckes to get underneath and take the lead.
So pit road is now open here at Gateway, and because of that, it looks like just about everybody coming down pit road, led by your leader Christian Eckes and Michael Self. The top 10 cars, I believe, if not more, are coming down pit road right now for some fresh rubber. It looks like the 77 of Joe Graff Jr., the only one to stay out. He was running at the back half of the top 10.
Ty Gibbs had to back up, overshot the beginning of his pit stall. Came in third.
See what the teams decide to do here. You see the 15 on the top right of your screen. That's the leader. A little bit faster stop than Michael Self in that Sinclair car in the 25 in the middle portion of the screen. I think we've seen some tire strategy, honestly, here. Travis Braden in the 27 able to pull off pit road first. So I would say that I believe that Travis Braden team might have taken just 2 tires.
An adjustment only on the 22 of Corey Himes. So his crew chief we talked to earlier, Paul Andrews, got his wish, got a chance to come in, make an adjustment with other lead lap cars, and get back on the racetrack ahead of most of them.
Ty Gibbs lost a bunch of spots on pit road. First, as you mentioned, overshooting that pit stall, and then a little bit of a slower stop for that 18 team, and he was one of the last of a group of cars to come off of pit road.
The other drivers racing in the top 5, Carson Hocevar and Sam Mayer, also slower off pit road. They followed Gibbs out on the racetrack, so they lost some spots too.
Fuel only for Travis Braden, who came down pit road. So if you remember, Travis Braden was on pit road when Corey Heim was on pit road earlier in this race. So fuel only for Travis Braden in this one. Remember, he won the race at Lucas Oil Raceway years ago on a little bit of strategy as well.
Yeah, that race went really long, and no one else got tires later in the race, and Travis just outran him with fresher General tires at that point.
So Travis Braden, the kid from West Virginia, having a great run here today. A little bit of strategy in this entire situation. Michael Self, though, comes into this race as the points leader. And for the first time in his career, together with Venturini Motorsports, it's a dream come true because he's battling for a championship.
I think you look at the Venturini program last year and how far they came last year. I don't remember how many poles and how many races they won last year, but it was a lot. And I feel like I was a big part of that. And we won Daytona, we won Chicagoland, and had some really good runs at some of the other big tracks. Obviously, Billy Venturini bringing in Kevin Reed, and then this year Shannon Rush. I think the knowledge is where it needs to be as far as building the tracks. And I think we have every resource. I think Billy's given us everything that we could ask for it. So showing up to the track and knowing I don't have to question our equipment is a real confidence boost. I think I know where my strengths are on the bigger tracks. So hopefully the experience that I have plays a part in those areas, but I know it's not going to be easy to beat a Harrison Burton come in, or a Todd Gilliland, or a Chandler Smith, or some other group of guys are going to be thrown in there, and every one of these is going to be hard to win. We've just got to have experience and knowledge on our side as far as being smart and make sure we think of every day as a points day, and just try and put our best foot forward in that aspect and see where things come when Kansas comes around at the end of the year, and hopefully we still are in a position to be the favorite or to have a shot at it.
Drew Dollar in the top 5 now after that sequence of pit stops here. So plenty of strategy going on, Jim Trado, amongst a lot of the competitors that we see now at the top of the field.
We mentioned Drew Dollar's first race. Well, Chris Lawson has been with the DGR Crosley team that won and finished second in the point series last year in the K&N Pro Series East. So what they have is they have a really good nucleus. So when Drew goes to a new racetrack, and this is by far the biggest and fastest track he's run on, he can call back on that experience and say, how do I get around this racetrack? They have David Keith, former ARCA race winner, as their spotter. They've got this team loaded with people to get Drew Dollar comfortable here. So any calls they make, Drew's believing it. And his team, his crew chief, Chris Lawson, said, I believe this young driver has a lot of talent. He's picking it up. He's actually progressing better than I thought he would at this point in the season.
And Drew told me today, he said, honestly, I've been able to pick up this racetrack, like you said, because David Keith has been really tutoring him here during the test as well as today. It's like going to Super Speedway 101 here today at Gateway. And remember, this kid, just even last year, was still running Legends cars. A couple of years ago was running Legends cars full-time.
Full-time in terms of, we're talking about every major racetrack that runs Legends cars, Las Vegas, Atlanta, Charlotte, kicking their butts in pro, semi-pro, and pro. I mean, he really got it dialed in at the top of his game, but he told me this is a completely different animal, these cars at these speeds.
Let me ask you this as we're getting ready to go green again. Fuel only for the 22, fuel only for several of these drivers, including Travis Braden up there. Joe Graf Jr. did not pit, and he has scored the leader and has taken the outside groove. But how fast are we going to see a difference in tires here? Because just behind the top 4 sits Christian Eckes, who led prior to this caution, and Michael Self is back there as well.
I want to answer one question of why would Travis Braden only take tires or only fuel? You get 5 points for leading a lap. He is within sight of the championship. He's only 35 points out in third right now from second place. So if he's able to wrestle that lead away from Joe Graf, who, by the way, is 5th in points, this may be a championship picture move here at this point in the race, staying out or getting fuel only to get that track position.
Christian Eckes hoping to use those tires to just rocket his way back to the top of the field. Christian Eckes sitting in the 4th spot in the standings coming into this one. And you mentioned, with a good run here and some misfortune for some other people, he could be right back in the championship hunt.
That's the 3rd car in line. Weaving on the outside groove is Christian Eckes.
Let's see what Travis Braden in that number 27, the Matrix car, can do with Joe Graf Jr. Joe was up there in that dark stuff all day long in practice, hoping to tune in that Chad Bryant racing machine. Braden's got a great run off of turn number 2. Will he get to the front, get that lead a lap, and get those bonus points? He does.
Corey Heim has 15 laps older tires than the number 15 on his heels, and the 15 is Christian Eckes. So it's a matter of that black number 22 Speedway Children's Charities of Atlanta Ford getting position from the inside.
A little contact there between the 18 of Ty Gibbs and the 21 of Sam Mayer, just outside or right around the top 5 position right there. So a little contact there. It looked like Gibbs was trying to go low. Mayer didn't know he was there, and they kind of tagged each other just a little bit.
And that going lower to get position is something we see on super speedways. These young drivers spend time in simulators. They spend time watching film, but they're getting out and doing it's a whole different animal. And those young drivers learned a lesson. That entry into turn 1, as shallow as it was, cost them some track time. They almost got together. That would have been big.
This is a perfect example of how the outside line can work to your benefit. Joe Graf Jr. is keeping his Chad Bryant Racing teammate Corey Heim at bay by using the momentum on that outside groove. Corey Heim, you see the momentum loss coming off the corner. He was bound down to the bottom, and that's not where you can get your speed.
And Heim now trying to weave a bit down the backstretch to keep the number 15 of Christian Eckes from charging. Eckes again came down pit road most recent pit stop. The 22 machine came to prior yellow for his 4 tires.
Christian Eckes now on the inside trying to get up to the 3rd spot. Eckes, look at how that car walks down the straightaway, almost crooked with that camber in the rear end. And Eckes, that car turns so good. We saw that, honestly, right now, but we saw it also when he took the lead from his teammate, Michael Self.
Jockeying for position, I still believe Eckes has the fastest car right now on the racetrack. Getting by the 22 of Heim is big. Getting some clean air because Heim's car showed speed with those fresh tires. 23 Brett Holmes also came on pit road most recently under the last caution, so he's trying to make up those laps he lost early.
Brett Holmes still 2 laps down, but trying to put himself in position for the free pass. He's being scored in the 13th spot. Right here, Travis Braden continuing to lead this race in the 27, but Joe Graf Jr. has shown us something here. Remember, did not pit, using that outside groove to perfection. We told you it might come into play here near the halfway point. Well, we're closing in on that distance. Let's go down to Alex.
Talking about Joe Graf Jr. working that outside lane. You see him here switching and going to the bottom now, trying to get up underneath Travis Braden. But he is one of those drivers that they said they knew they had to commit to either that outside lane with the substance that's been put down on the track, or commit to the bottom where it's just plain old asphalt. Either way, he's committed to the outside lane. They know that's how their car's set up. They know that's where their speed is, and it's starting to pay off.
He's looking good, possibly the best he's looked all year long. Joe Graf Jr. also running for RCR in the NASCAR Xfinity Series a little bit, trying his hand at some NASCAR racing.
Next race is Daytona for him after his debut last week at Iowa, where he finished 19th in that number 21 for Chobos.
Joe Graf Jr., best finish so far this year, 4th at Michigan International Speedway. He won at Berlin on the short track last year as part of the Sioux Chief Short Track Challenge.
Talk about short track racers. These two going at it right now. The number 18 of Ty Gibbs and the 22 of Corey Heim battling for 4th. They have spent a lot of time racing through the Southeast in late model stocks, in super late models the last couple of years. To see them racing that hard, pretty cool to see them give them that much room, that much respect at these high speeds on this racetrack.
These drivers were just going around the number 48 car. Brad Smith, top 10 in points, a little bit slow on the racetrack, but these cars, the top 5, just all single file right now here as we close in on that halfway point in the race.
Braden having the lead after a fuel-only stop. Joe Graf Jr. and the number 77 stayed out on the most recent caution. Then we have that man with the tires, the 15 of Christian Eckes, trying to reel them in. Fuel may be an issue here. We talked to Paul Andrews about he may be able to stay out. These teams came in and got gas later. Don't know if they got a full load in, so we'll see how that plays out as another factor. I'm thinking that Eckes is good to the finish here. Maybe he's riding a little bit here in the 15. Doesn't want to lead at this point. Let's get some laps in, get some heat in these tires, and have something left for the end.
Christian Eckes trying to work his way back up to spot number 1, which is owned by Travis Braden. The Day-to-Day Coffee 150 presented by Lucas Oil at Worldwide Technology Raceway in Madison, Illinois. It's the ARCA Menards series on MAV TV. Christian Eckes now back to the point here at Gateway. Here's how he got it done. This is the 77 of Joe Graf Jr. And look at Eckes go to the bottom of Joe Graf Jr. That was the battle for second. Christian Eckes just so strong. Here he got that second spot, but watch what he does to dispose of Travis Braden.
It didn't come easy, but he had the inside line and fresher tires than that number 15 JBL Audio Toyota. To the inside he went. Braden committed to the outside. Great run by Travis, the two-time ARCA CRA champ. And he had to work at it here. It didn't come easy for the number 15 driver to get underneath and clear the 27 of Travis Braden for the lead.
Now he's out in front. Oh, look at this right here. Bottleneck on the racetrack. Braden 3 wide here at Gateway. A battle in the top 5. Battle for second now on the racetrack. Joe Graff Jr. gets the spot in the Eat Sleep race number 77, but Ty Gibbs wants it.
Great move by Graff on the outside to get that threaded through the center. Gibbs should have the advantage here, but Graff's been awfully strong, showing strength here, running 3 wide and now trying to hang on to that position number 3.
Let's see what Joe Graff Jr. can do on the outside. He loses momentum right there. Ty Gibbs just so strong. Almost got him right there in the middle to upper part of the racetrack. But Graff fights back strong again. He's been the most impressive driver on that outside group.
And Brian Kramer is his spotter, but he also has a driver coach that can chime in on occasion. And it's Mike Bliss, the 2003 NASCAR Truck Series champ, working with Graff on a day-to-day basis at the racetrack.
Contact between those two drivers. Battle for second here. A four-driver battle, basically, for spots 2nd through 5th on the racetrack. Ty Gibbs, steady. He's got that egg underneath the throttle pedal, just getting back to it, where Joe Graff Jr. can mash on it a little bit more on the outside.
We saw him sawing back and forth on that wheel. Perhaps his days as a modified Rookie of the Year at Stafford Speedway came to play there for that young man as it was awfully loose off the corner.
Joe Graff Jr., and there is Ty Gibbs. It looks like he's going to be able to get that spot right there. Actually, Joe Graff has a win at Stafford Motor Speedway back in the day in Connecticut a few years ago, but Ty Gibbs to second, a place that he knows all too well this year.
And Travis Braden's not done yet either. He thought maybe he's hung out outside and that's it. And Corey Haim's got much better tires. Oh, look at this number 27 Matrix Care Ford on the bottom. Travis changing up his line to try to advance back into this hunt.
Corey Haim moves up a spot. Move him into the 4th position. And Carson Hocevar up another spot as well. He is now in the top 5.
Great move by Hocevar. We saw his just waving, saying, thanks, Travis, for giving me room to race. That's a 16-year-old driver that yet has to have his driver's license, making the move, giving the respect back on the racetrack.
So much action in the first half of this race. We're now past the halfway point, so time to take a look at the Richmond Water Heaters mid-race recap. Michael Self with the General Tire Pole Award once again.
Led the first 40-some laps of this race. We thought, okay, here he goes, Michael Self doing it again. But then we had some great racing throughout the field, with the number 18 of Ty Gibbs really making a forward charge from his 8th starting spot with that fresh engine.
Trouble for Brett Holmes. Almost a little contact there with Drew Dollar. Around goes the man that was second in points coming into this one. He is still a couple of laps down. Trouble for Chandler Smith. Was challenging for the lead. Broken axle on that 20 car.
Yeah, tough break for that 16-year-old driver. And his teammates were at the helm. Smith was up in this battle, and the number 15 of Christian Eckes finally got that lead on lap 42 from the 25 and his teammate Michael Self in the green and white car.
Christian Eckes led a good chunk of this race here before we actually saw cars come down pit road. And then with pit strategy, they all got jumbled up a little bit. Travis Braden going to the lead in the 27 with Joe Graff Jr. right there. Joe Graff Jr. battling in the top 5. But here comes Graff. Man, they challenged each other for several laps, but then here came Christian Eckes once again. Eckes so strong, trying to drive his way back to the front. 4 leaders as part of the Richmond Water Heaters mid-race recap. In the first part of this race, just 52 laps to go now.
And we're under caution, Bob. The 23 of Brett Holmes smoking down the front stretch. You can see the rear body damage has brought out our 4th caution.
So you see the back end of that machine missing the deck lid, and it's hanging off the back. You can see that damage to the left rear quarter panel as well. Let's take a look at the replay of what happened to Brett Holmes on the racetrack, who we just mentioned was running 2 laps down, and there you see he goes around and tags the wall.
Cars get so free through turns 1 and 2. It's a banked higher than 3 and 4, but it's a narrower corner, a tighter turn. And coming off that corner, there's a tendency to get on the gas and stomp on it. He's a former track record holder at the Talladega dirt track, so trying to save that car when it gets loose, not a big deal for Brett to handle, but it got away from him there.
It's been a tough day, Alex, for that 23.
Yeah, it has, Bob. And again, he's got heavy damage to the back of the car. I don't think this is going to buff right out. But the problem with Brett Holmes all evening long has been the fact that the back end of the car just is not stable through the middle of the corner, specifically down in turns 1 and 2, where it's a little tighter here at this racetrack. He's trying to get back on the throttle sooner to keep up with the competition. That forces the back end to kick around. You see him now bring that Toyota to pit road. Heavy damage at the back of the race car with the contact with the safer barrier.
And just to explain a little bit more of what Alex was talking about with the 23 of Brett Holmes, it's one of those tight to loose conditions we always talk about. If you have a tight car and it doesn't want to turn in the center of the corner, you got to put a lot of wheel to it. Well, when you put a lot of wheel and it finally gains that grip, it just breaks that rear end free, and that's what Brett Holmes and this team has been suffering through tonight.
It's a fine line. We're turning it too far to the left. It'll snap to the right, and that got away on him real quick.
Chandler Smith now on the racetrack once again, battling for an owner's championship, Alex.
Been a tough night from early on in the race. He came down pit road very slow, said he had a broken axle. They tried to change the axles on the pit lane, realized that there was a much bigger issue, so they had to push the car behind the wall. They put it up on the jack stands and changed the entire rear end housing there for Chandler Smith. He's just now, as you see, getting the car rolling and back out on the racetrack, but for one of our top contenders here, and one of the favorites to win tonight's race, he's having a hard time and a tough go of it.
A lot of cars on pit road, led by Travis Braden in the 27. I saw a little contact between, I believe it was Ty Gibbs possibly on the racetrack on pit road, as well as Drew Dollar in the number 4 machine. There is Braden, another fast stop for him. Michael Self in the 25 also on pit road, as is Gavin Harlan.
His rookie teammate from Phoenix on pit road, the number 55, has yet to do pit stops for real. He went to Motor Mile Speedway and got practice in, but it's in reality here, the 55 machine of Gavin Harlan, sitting 9th. Nice pit stop. Down and away.
What's going on with the 25, Alex?
Yeah, they've been battling that tight, loose condition that you described as well. So they've been in and made a quick splash of Sunoco fuel in the race car. Another adjustment to try to get the back end a little more stable for Michael Self. He's been good on the bottom of the racetrack, but as the sun continues to set behind the main grandstands here in the front stretch, that's changing the track conditions. The temperature of the track's changing. That changes the grip on the racetrack, changes the handling of these race cars, and they're simply trying to keep up.
So staying out during this caution period and not coming down pit road. Michael Self was one of those drivers who came down pit road. Christian Eckes, Ty Gibbs, Joe Graf Jr., top 3 did not come down pit road. This racetrack, very unique here in Madison, Illinois, and that is the subject of our General Tire track map here. You can see in the southwestern portion of Illinois, right on the St. Louis border, right over the river is St. Louis, and you can see it was actually constructed way back when. It was a 1-mile track before converting to this 1.25-mile track.
My brother raced actually on the road course they had here, Gateway International, I think it was called then, when he ran for WK National Points. And looking at this speedway, it's so different. Turns 1 and 2, then 3 and 4. Banking's different. Turns 3 and 4 actually remind me of Milwaukee, when it's 9 degrees, a big, long, sweeping corner, but you're so hard on the brakes on entering turn 1. And you can't really compromise. You've got to be better in 3 and 4. And some of the drivers are saying, if I'm good in 3 and 4, I'll live with what I have in turns 1 and 2. It's been a great compromise. And we mentioned that shifting, Bob. Because these long straightaways, we saw on that graphic how long these straightaways can be here. Very tight corner in turn 1 and 2. A lot of braking in the corner, but getting off second corner. We have a handful of drivers shifting, including the number 15 of Christian Eckes. That's playing into his favor. Other drivers may be wishing they could have that ability, or built into the gearing ratios they have in their cars, to do that, to get a little more off the corner. We
went up and down the pits to find out who was shifting and who wasn't today. And we know that Christian Eckes is shifting. We know that Michael Self is shifting. The 18 team of Ty Gibbs told us they are not shifting. So it really looked like just about the Venturini cars were the ones that were actually shifting on this racetrack. It has certainly paid off for them, with both Michael Self and Christian Eckes leading a bunch of laps here early in this one.
Yeah, I like how this is going to look here. We see the Christian Eckes doing the weave. He's done that since his days in short track racing. He led just the last lap of the Snowball Derby to win that one. Eckes is poised on the outside to win his second race of the season on this launch. Great restart by our race leader, Christian Eckes, on this restart.
And a pretty decent restart for Ty Gibbs as well. Gibbs to the inside of Christian Eckes down in the corner. Corey Hyman, the 22, the 16-year-old out of Georgia, hanging tough as well.
The great thing about ARCA, Bob, is they have a restart rule where the lead lap cars that didn't pit get to be. Hold on, there we go.
Hold on, Corey Hyman. Corey Hyman, a great job of driving that 22. Got loose in the corner, scooted up the racetrack, and hung on to it.
Amazing job by Corey Heim, saving it from not making contact and then saving from spinning out. What a great move by that youngster in the 22.
Corey Heim trying to battle back now. He's driven a bunch of different things this year. Over the last 2 years, late model stock, super late models, pro late models, and also here now in the ARCA Menards series.
And he doesn't even turn 17 years of age till mid-July. It's crazy how good this handling is, how this car control comes naturally to this young driver in the 22.
Watch this. Ty Gibbs on the outside, and you can see the car just gets light on Corey Heim, and he turns to the right. That's a dirt track move right there, honestly, saving that car at the speeds that they're going here at Gateway.
Yeah, it's really a nice save by him. He's got a few laps. I'm sure that wore the tires just a little bit, crossing up across the racetrack, but boy, what a great job by Heim, and a great job really by Ty Gibbs, saying, I got you. I'm in where I want to be. He's washing up. His spotter right there, Hal Martin in the 18, I'm sure was telling his young driver, hey, Ty, you got one on the inside. Keep your line, and he did just a nice job to maintain second spot in the 18 car.
Michael Self running 10th, Alex.
Yeah, and crew chief Shannon Rush has just come off the pit box, dejectedly walking back down, and he's headed to the team car down here. The reason being, Michael Self got on the radio just a few moments ago and reported he thinks he broke an axle. Same thing that happened to their team car, Chandler Smith, a little earlier.
And honestly, Jim, it's something that we've seen at the Venturini Motorsports cars just a few races ago at Michigan as well.
All the teams actually did change the rear drive plates on all of the cars for Venturini at that race. They blamed it on a team setup, not the parts.
We'll be right back here to Gateway. Under 50 to go in the ARCA Menards series during the Day-to-Day Coffee 150, and we have a battle for the lead. Ty Gibbs to the inside of Christian Eckes. The teenagers battling here at Gateway. Oh, trouble there. Take a look at that, a close call. Eric Caudell got trapped there in the middle of a battle for the lead.
Eric's been fighting handling issues in a brand new car to him from Venturini Motorsports camp. He did not want to be in the middle of this one. Let's take one more look.
Watch Eric Caudell, slower car that they're coming up on. Ty Gibbs goes to the bottom. Caudell holds on to his line, washes up the racetrack, and almost into Christian Eckes.
Eckes burped the gas on entry. Good job by him because he saw it coming and made way for getting all three cars through that corner. Good job by all three drivers.
We've talked about a lot of great performances here today. I am impressed with this kid, the teenager Gavin Harlan, in the 55 car for Venturini Motorsports. His first series start, and he's running 7th.
Came and pitted on the 8th position, came out 8th as well, ran with his teammate Michael Self till he had issues, and now he's trying to find a better way. He's trying to find a fast way around the slower number 7 of Caudell here.
Caudell caught in the middle of a tough couple of battles here on the racetrack with just the last couple of laps here on the track. Sam Mayer in the 21, the kid out of Wisconsin, battling for a championship now in the NASCAR Can-Am Pro Series East, sits second in the standings there. Sam Mayer currently running at 7th.
Yeah, he's just 5 points out of that Can-Am Pro Series points lead, or 2 points, excuse me. So to see how good he's been able to transition back and forth between the series, spending some time back at his home state last weekend was a good run for him as well at Madison Speedway, just south of the state capital in Wisconsin. 3rd place there.
Impressive kid. Ty Gibbs here, though, by virtue of that situation with the slower car, has opened up a little bit of a lead by almost a second over Christian Eckes right now here on this racetrack. Gibbs hoping for win number 1 in his career in the ARCA Menards series, and we understand, we have a report that Coach Joe Gibbs is in the house here at Gateway. Championship point leader in the ARCA Menards series, Michael Self, with trouble, a broken axle. We had a report of that just a little while ago, and now that car is on pit road and the team is pushing it possibly behind the wall. So 2nd place in points, Brett Holmes with trouble. Now Michael Self, it looks like, with some big time trouble. Travis Braden, who is 3rd in points, sits right now in the 6th spot.
And the Venturini teammate that is in 2nd spot now, Christian Eckes, is out there. Two of his teammates have had axle issues here, and I talked about Billy Venturini. I talked to him at length after Michigan. He said it was something we did in our setup that was different, that we'll take the credit for in the issues we had, but we tried to fix them. We put brand new parts on. That unfortunately has affected two of the three Venturini teams racing for the championship this year.
Ty Gibbs has been so good. We didn't know what to expect out of him coming from the late model stock car ranks. But already this year, 3 top 5 finishes. What that should say there is honestly 3 second-place finishes, something that honestly he's been a little bit frustrated with, but he's been so good. 15 laps led coming into this race, and now he's leading more laps, gaining more experience. We expect to see him in a couple of years. Remember, he's a little too young right now, but in a couple of years we expect him to see in the upper echelons of NASCAR. Battle between the 2 Chad Bryant racing cars. Joe Graf Jr. in the 77 on the outside, the 22 of Corey Heim on the inside, a battle for third.
This is really good racing, and teammates that drive differently completely. I talked to Joe and Corey separately. They said, yeah, I don't have the same setup as Joe. I can't drive the same, as Corey would tell me. I can't drive the same way Joe has. And Joe, with the experience he has, this is his second trip to Gateway, Corey's first, getting those knowledgeable laps in. He wants a car a different way, and the setups are a bit different. So he has Chad Bryant on the pit box for the 77 team, and Joe Graf. Great job, because he's already won 3 Cometic Crew Chiefs of the Year for Chad, now the team owner, and crew chief for Joe Graf. And then you have Paul Andrews, all that veteran experience and taking calculated risks. I wouldn't call him gambles completely. He knows what he has for those drivers, and Corey Heim has full trust in what he's able to put underneath him.
A little bit further back in the field, we see Gavin Harlan in that 55 and Drew Dollar in the 4. We mentioned earlier in the show that Frank Kimmel, the 10-time series champion, is guiding Gavin Harlan, a complete rookie, back to the front of the field. And the 28 of Carson Hocevar goes by Joe Graf Jr. on the racetrack. Now move Hocevar up to the 4th spot.
And he's only a year removed from going for the track championship and winning it at Berlin Raceway, a less than a half-mile racetrack. You never keep turning. You always turn the wheel on that track. Imagine how long these straightaways feel for this young short tracker. They must feel like forever.
You know, it was interesting because you mentioned Berlin. It's a circular racetrack, but Carson Hocevar has been so impressive. He caught everybody's eye, honestly, winning a heat race in an outlaw late model at Berlin, and then the following year, at 13 years old, winning a NASCAR Wheel and All-American Series race. And you're not supposed to be running the NASCAR Wheel and All-American Series at that time, so they had to restructure the rules there at Berlin Raceway. Ty Gibbs, though, another one of those young guns we've been watching around the Southeast. Last year, he got to test an ARCA Menards Series car on several different occasions to prepare himself for this year.
And this year, he started out with a late model win at Myrtle Beach, so he's not out of that realm yet. He wants to race as much as he can. I got to tell you, though, I enjoyed the fact that Ty Gibbs this week changed his Twitter photo at Ty Gibbs _ to the little boy in The Incredibles, Dash, the kid that can outrun anything. I think they're separated at birth. They look just like each other, and that's now Ty's Twitter picture. Makes sense. He's dashing away from the field here at Gateway.
Dash doing well as Coach Joe Gibbs, Grandpa, looking on here at this racetrack.
The ARCA Menards series is brought to you by Geico, saving people money on more than just car insurance. Hers, forever good. And by Sioux Chief, America's manufacturer of plumbing, drainage, supply, and support products.
20 laps to go in the Day-to-Day Coffee 150 presented by Lucas Oil here at Gateway. Ty Gibbs, the 16-year-old, continues to lead. Jim Trato's been drinking his Day-to-Day Coffee here in the booth on MAV TV. And we've been watching an impressive performance by this gentleman here. He's just a kid, but he's so strong behind the wheel.
We saw how smooth he was on the short tracks, Bob. Very impressive here. Overall, 4-second lead with under 20 laps to go here at Worldwide Technology Raceway Gateway.
Thad Moffitt running strong as well. He's a lap down, but Thad Moffitt looking for his 3rd consecutive ARCA Series top 10 finish in a limited basis this year.
Yeah, Grumpy Cheek working hard at that car. Former Truck Series driver Wayne Edwards is on this team, working with them as much as they can, getting that car fast. Mom and Dad are here. That's Richard Petty's daughter Rebecca and her husband Brian, who's the VP of marketing for Richard Petty Motorsports. They're here supporting their driver. And Thad said, hey, I've got some more races coming. I'm doing Pocono, I'm doing Kansas, I'm doing Chicagoland this Thursday. So looking forward to see Thad more here.
Broken axle for Michael Self, the points leader. Travis Braden now up to 5th. It's going to change the complexion of this championship battle. The ARCA Menards Series Day-to-Day Coffee 150 presented by Lucas Oil at Worldwide Technology Raceway. And we're getting down to the end. Almost just 10 laps to go. Christian Eckes in that JBL Audio number 15 holding on to the second spot. But 16-year-old driver, the number 22 for Chad Bryant Racing, Corey Heim, is starting to charge hard.
And under caution, we had an advancement and pass by both these cars by the number 20 of Chandler Smith, who spent all that time behind the wall. And his spotter, Britt Anderson, said, hey, the 20's coming. Give him room. He's faster than us at this point in the race. I'm just wondering if that's part of the conservancy of this number 15 team, knowing their two teammates are behind the wall now with issues at the rear axle for a long period of time.
And then also fuel mileage could be part of the game here today. So does actually we have a caution coming out on the racetrack as we see the yellow lights come on as Ty Gibbs continues to lead with just 11 laps to go. Joe Graf Jr. bringing out the caution here late in the going. Joe Graf Jr. had been running in the top 5 earlier in the race.
Joe Graf Jr. slowly get back up the speed off of turn number 2, bringing out our 5th caution, Bob. This changes a lot of things. If Ty Gibbs and those other teams are worried about what they have in their race cars, I would be worried about Christian Eckes. He's had great restarts tonight. He's going to line up second on this restart if he doesn't pit. It's going to be interesting to see how these two 18 and 16-year-olds battle it out here at the end.
So Joe Graf Jr., his roller coaster year continues for the driver of the 77, but we were talking during break as well with Alex Hayden, and he said the Joe Gibbs racing team for the 18 of Ty Gibbs really paying attention to fuel mileage as well. So this yellow flag could honestly be a benefit to them in regards to fuel mileage.
Yeah, 8 cars left on the lead lap. That may be a few too many to make a risk and top off for gas and go so you know you can finish. You got to gamble, I think. There's too many cars and too much track position to lose if you did pit here out of the lead for Ty Gibbs and just for that splash of fuel that he so desperately may need. But yes, these caution laps, better fuel mileage when the car's not racing under green.
We're excited for the end of this one. Now just 10 laps to go. And it looks like Ty Gibbs and Christian
on the road.
Eckes,
He's on the entry road.
First and second coming down pit road. They'll be looking for a splash of fuel, so running really tight on fuel. The top 3, the top 4, oh my, the top 5 cars all coming down to pit road.
Sam Mayer, the only car staying out among those lead lap cars passing by the top 5 on pit road. They must have all been close on fuel.
So this, to some degree, is a benefit for Ty Gibbs because such a massive amount of cars on the lead came down for this splash of fuel. They're going to take tires as well on the 18. They still have 2 tires at their disposal for Ty Gibbs. Corey Heim also taking 2 tires, as will Christian Eckes in the 15. Carson Hocevar, the only car moving. Let's go down to Alex.
They're actually changing 4 tires on Ty Gibbs' car, putting scuffs on the left side of the race car. They had those 2 fresh sticker tires to go on the right side, put scuffs on the left side. Cooler tires mean more grip with the sun going down here and that ever-important splash of fuel.
Wow. So Sam Mayer with rain in the air at Madison elected to pit after the rain delay. Now Marty Lindley, his crew chief's making the call, staying out here. He last came to pit road on lap 68 with Travis Braden, who came to pit road for tires on this caution. Things are playing pretty crazy here. Now, that fresh rubber, we saw Corey Heim early. Give the hope, hey, we got rubber on it, let's go after him. I don't know if it's going to pay off here. I mentioned track position. That's going to be a huge detriment to these teams as we go lap after lap under caution here.
Who's that, Bob? Coach Joe Gibbs, the grandfather for Ty Gibbs. He was shaking his head there going, oh, man, this is drama, something he doesn't want to see. But he's been around both the NFL as a Super Bowl winning coach as well as a Daytona 500 winning car owner in the NASCAR League. So he's seen this a time or two, but not with his grandson.
This is a different deal. His son Coy has built this team. It's in the shops at Joe Gibbs Racing. They have got a lot of dedicated resources as a team members, 10 different crew members on the team with Mark McFarland coming over. And Coach has been to Salem, Indiana. He's been to Madison International Speedway. He snuck in at Five Flag Speedway and saw his grandson race.
What does the 18 team think, Alex?
Crew chief is Mark McFarland, so let's ask him. You guys came in, put 4 on the race car and topped it off with the fuel. What's he saying about the handling of the race car?
We were pretty close that run. He liked it being out front. You know, clean air's worth a lot. So just didn't know whether to take 2 or 4. I hate to mess up the balance taking 2. So we took 4 and just Ty's going to have to do his job here, get to the front.
Were you concerned at all about having enough fuel in the tank? Should you have stayed out?
Yeah, we were close. We were within a lap, not making it. So it was. We have to finish. So we're in good shape.
Mark McFarland, little sly smile there. I think they are in pretty good shape. Good handling race car, good tough driver behind the wheel. I think this is going to be a strong run to the finish.
Here's the interesting thing for Ty Gibbs. He was penalized late in the going at Madison for jumping a restart. Let's take a look at it. Watch Ty Gibbs on the inside of the second row. Michael Self spins his tires. You can't pull out of line before the start-finish line. Ty Gibbs did do just that, and by virtue of that received the black flag, and the penalty almost caused an incident there coming off of 2 when he slowed down.
And those teams are coming to the white flag, so it happened so late in the race for Ty. He was unable to recover. He ended up finishing 8th, but again, that run down pit road to serve that penalty was how his race ended last race.
So the reason why we show you that is Ty Gibbs, we know he's going to be strong here. He's got a very good car here at Gateway. But will he be conservative on this restart because of what happened at Madison, or will he be able to charge hard and try to get as many spots as he can on this restart? Tough deal for a 16-year-old to consider.
And, you know, he's got one of the best restart drivers of all time in the Cup Garage, Kyle Busch, that has probably coached him well on how to do restarts and getting the engine cleared out and getting the tires to temp. And now we'll see how this young man applies it here with the fresh tires behind the cars that stayed out on the racetrack.
So Gibbs lining up 8th. Christian Eckes is in the 7th spot. Christian Eckes, one of those double-duty drivers here, going after the win tonight in the ARCA Menards Series, but also competing in the NASCAR Truck Series with Kyle Busch Motorsports.
And the top 5 that pitted for tires, they're going to be coming as hungry as Ty Gibbs to the front ahead of these cars.
Sam Mayer, this 15-year-old out of Wisconsin, will lead the field to the green flag in the 21. But Drew Dollar in the number 4, another teenager making his first series start, right along out on the inside in the 55 of Gavin Harlan, another first-timer here in ARCA in the top 2 rows.
Here we go, Bob. It's a long way to the start-finish line, but the restart line is coming quickly, and they'll get up through the gears, and Sam Mayer gets the advantage here in the 21 on the outside.
The green flag is out for a shootout here in Gateway. Look at Corey Heim. To the inside he goes. Corey Heim has been awfully good, especially on restarts, battling for the lead with Sam Mayer.
And he's had a lot of laps on the bottom, Bob. As his tires wore, he's still able to maintain position on the inside line. Now he tucks in behind our leader in the 22.
Ty Gibbs from 8th to 4th on the first lap. Travis Braden tries to go to the inside. Can't do it. 3 wide here. 3 wide battle off of turn number 4. Ty Gibbs shot out of a cannon trying to move to 2nd.
This young man has a few more laps that I think Sam Mayer would like to give him. 5 to go. Mayer has the lead, but that black car is getting bigger in the mirror right now.
Incredible performance by Ty Gibbs from 8th to 2nd. Here comes Christian Eckes. Travis Braden, a problem on the 27.
Washed up real high.
On the 27. 3rd in the championship hunt, and now the 27 slowing on the racetrack ever so slightly.
Washed up into turn 1, Bob. Could be a brake issue, something along that line. He had a brake fan issue earlier in practice for Braden in the 27.
Remember, Ty Gibbs came down pit road, got those 2 new tires on the right-hand side, those scuffs on the left. Will that be the difference because Sam Mayer did not pit during that last sequence?
That's a battle of members of the teams that were with MDM Motorsports last year. Marty Lindley was a crew chief for Zane Smith. Mark McFarland, crew chief for Chase Purdy. They were in this race a year ago. Those crew chiefs now bring that knowledge forward to these young drivers that are battling out for the win.
Corey Heim in the 22. Still riding very strong in the 4th spot. Travis Braden, by the way, has slipped back to 7th. Still holding steady in the top 10. Christian Eckes knocking on the door as well. That driver for Venturini Motorsports in the 3rd spot and closing in on 2nd.
Yeah, Corey Heim was just to the inside of these 2 cars leading. Now he's back in 4th and losing ground in that black number 22. Carson Hocevar also back in 5th. No shot right now if this race stayed green.
Next time to the line, it'll be 2 laps to go. Are you surprised that Sam Mayer has been able to do this and actually gap Ty Gibbs?
He liked the front of the race when it came down to Bristol Motor Speedway for a K&N race earlier this year. He started on the pole and led all 150 laps. I think this kid knows a little bit about clean air and getting the good restart like he just did with his crew chief Marty Lindley and the experience he's got with Lauren Ranier on the spotter stand helping him every inch of the way.
That experience of Marty Lindley and Lauren Ranier is invaluable, honestly, to a kid like Sam Mayer. Remember, just 15 years old. He's going to turn 16 later on this week. And next time by, the white flag is going to be in the air. Ty Gibbs knows a thing or two about second place, doesn't want to finish there again.
And that clean air is everything for Sam Mayer right now. Gibbs has a faster car, but can he get the line in his final 1.25 miles?
Ty Gibbs with a little bit of a run here in turn number 1. I think it's going to have to come in turn number 3.
Powering off for turn 2 is where Gibbs has been so good. He dips a little bit lower than Mayer there, but I saw a little wiggle off the 18 in the rear.
Ty Gibbs has got one more shot. Watch what he does in the middle of turns 3 and 4. He closes the gap to the inside, goes Ty Gibbs. A little wiggle by Sam Mayer. Ty Gibbs to the lead. Ty Gibbs to the lead here at Gateway after 3 runner-up finishes. Ty Gibbs now a winner here in the ARCA Menards Series. Coach Joe Gibbs celebrating here at Gateway. What an unbelievable finish. One little bobble by Sam Mayer provides victory for Joe Gibbs Racing and young Ty Gibbs, just 16 years old.
Ty knew how good his car was on that last restart. Went 3 wide in turn number 3. Sam Mayer's coming back to him. Not happy with the move that Gibbs put on him. Gibbs got to his left rear corner, tapped him just a little bit. But Gibbs was going for that victory. He was giving everything he could in that corner. Sam had a great line. Great run into the corner as well. Gibbs had so much speed, though, that carried him to victory.
What emotion we are seeing right now. Jubilation for the 18 of Ty Gibbs as he does donuts on the front stretch here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. But frustration for the 15-year-old Sam Mayer out of Wisconsin. This will go down in the history books, in the laurels of ARCA, where Ty Gibbs won his first ARCA race. He is a future superstar in the world of NASCAR, and we're seeing one be born here today in the ARCA Menards Series. There is the battle, contact, but Mayer looked a little bit indecisive going into turn number 3 as well. This is the finish here at Gateway. Woo! What a race here for the ARCA Menards Series around this 1.25 mile oval. The ARCA Menards Series Day-to-Day Coffee 150 presented by Lucas Oil at Worldwide Technology Raceway. We're in Madison, Illinois, and we just saw an unreal finish here for the victory. Ty Gibbs, look at that face. He's pumped up down in victory lane. A star has been born here in the ARCA Menards Series. 16-year-old Ty Gibbs will climb out victorious for the first time here in series history.
Ty Gibbs now climbing out of the race car. And for the first time in his career, a winner in the ARCA Menards Series. A fantastic drive, and Ty, spectacular run, my man. Give us an idea what it was like, turns 3 and 4 of the last lap in the pass for the win.
Yeah, you know, he left the door open and it was fair game. I got bumped by him at Madison and got spun, or Salem. So it's fair game, though. He left the door open. He had it won if he would have left it wide open. I don't know what he was doing, but we won the race. Woo!
As far as last week and the disappointment with the late race penalty, how big is it to come back with this type of performance?
Yeah, you know, these guys put a great job, and this is my first year, and we're just trying to get experience and we're running races because this is a great program right here. Everybody, Monster Energy, Juggers Racing, bad to the bone.
How difficult was it to listen to Mark McFarland, your crew chief, late there on the caution to say, come to pit road? Was that a difficult thing for you as a young driver to try to swallow that, knowing you had a good car in the race lead?
Yeah, it's so hard. You know, I was praying that the caution would come out, and it did. But, you know, we won on a better term, you know. So we passed 7 cars in that last restart. So I'm just so excited right now. I didn't even set in for me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
There he is, Ty Gibbs. He's the winner here at Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway. His grandfather, Coach Gibbs, yet to make his way down here into victory lane as of yet.
Let's take a look at the results of the Day-to-Day Coffee 150 presented by Lucas Oil. This is what's interesting to pay attention to. Christian Eckes, 4th in points coming in by virtue of him missing that race at Salem. He finishes in 2nd. He's going to gain a bunch of spots. Brett Holmes, a good battle for him. 2nd in points, he winds up 10th. Michael Self back in the 13th spot. So the points picture certainly going to change heading into Chicagoland.
And another angle to take on this, Ty Gibbs and the youth certainly showed well here today. Drew Dollar in his first race finishes 6th in the ARCA Menards Series debut here in St. Louis. Great job.
4 drivers will be under 100 points in the battle for the championship. That is pretty impressive with 9 races to go here in the ARCA Menards Series. Ty Gibbs victorious in Victory Lane.
The ARCA Menards Series is brought to you by Extreme Cleaners, tough on grime, safe on the environment. Richmond Water Heaters, the water heater experts. And by Lucas Oil, made in America, sold to the world.
Welcome back. Ty Gibbs, the winner here at Gateway. That's a very happy crew down there. Alex Hayden has caught up with another happy man.
I have indeed, and that's his grandfather, Coach Gibbs. And Coach Joe Gibbs, try to put into words your emotions right now with your grandson going to Victory Lane.
You know, you go to wins and everything for everybody, but when it's your grandson or your son, there's no feeling like this. I just put it that way. I was so uptight. The cup races, I can kind of, relax it, but this, I get uptight. So I want to thank the Menards, the ARCA Series. Obviously, Toyota's a huge deal for us. Monster, Mitch, Rodney, Mark, everybody out there at Monster, thank you for all you do for us and for our fans here. I spent 5 years here in St. Louis, love it. And for Ty, this is all he's ever wanted to do, so hopefully he's going to keep going.
Describe your emotion, because we were watching you on top of the hauler in the closing laps. What was going through your mind?
Well, he's had so many seconds, and things don't go his way, and so all of a sudden that caution was 6 to go. We come out 8th. I go, so you're looking at that and saying, hey, what kind of a chance do we have? But the thrill for us, the Lord has blessed us, the Gibbs family, to be a part of motorsports and NASCAR. I just really thank everybody that's a part of this, the France family and everybody. We love our sport. We have a great fan base, and I think the Lord's blessed us with a lot of great people.
The way this year started, not the way any of us wanted it, with the loss of JD, to where we're at here now in the second day of summer with your grandson in Victory Lane. Can you put into words what the emotion's been like for the Gibbs family this year?
Well, if you think about it, JD spent his entire occupational life, 28 years, building the race team so we could be here. And so anybody out there, JD went to be with the Lord on January 11th. Go to his website, jdgibbslegacy.com. I think it's really something special. A lot of people say it was life-changing. So just miss JD in every way. Coy and myself now kind of working with the leadership group. Dave Alpern, our president's here, and all the guys back home. We got a great group of people. Come by and visit us when you get a chance.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach Gibbs, the grandfather of the winner, Ty Gibbs. Corey Gibbs, Ty's father. Coach Gibbs' son is also down here. There's a heck of a celebration ongoing here in Victory Lane.
And there was a celebration for Coach Gibbs as well on top of the hauler, watching his grandson win here at this racetrack. Faith is very strong in the Gibbs family. It was an incredible day here, a spectacular finish as well between 2 teenagers, Ty Gibbs, 16 years old, and 15-year-old Sam Mayer. Let's take a look at what shook down in this 120-lap race here today in the Lucas Oil race recap. Michael Self, his 4th General Tire Pole Award of the season. He led the field to the green.
He didn't lead by much, but he led the first 40-some laps, and there was a swarm behind him the entire race. That lead was up for grabs. Christian Eckes takes the lead from his teammate in the 15, about lap 45 or so. He got the chance to take the lead and get those 5 championship points.
Travis Braden was also very strong at the front of this field after a little bit of pitch strategy. And then there are the 22 and the 77 for Chad Bryant Racing. Corey Heim and Joe Graff Jr. Christian Eckes, though, man, with tires, really came on strong.
General Tires made a big difference for him in this portion of the race, getting the lead away from Travis Braden, who hit it on the same pit stop, but only made an adjustment to his car without changing tires. We saw the difference finally pay off for Eckes, who got the lead for the second time, about lap 61 or so.
Then here came the 18, and look at Corey Heim with a great save right there. But the 18 was very strong. Ty Gibbs flexing his muscle a little bit. Eric Caudell, a slower car, trapped in the middle of that battle there. Ty Gibbs to the lead at that point of the race.
That was not the first. That was the first of 3 strong moves by this number 18 team. He overshot his first pit and lost a bunch of trackside. He didn't mess up that time. Got back out in contention, and that's the last lap right there, Bob.
Was there contact? Was there not any contact? A little bit of a bobble by Sam Mayer. Ty Gibbs takes the checkered flag for the first time in the ARCA Menards series here at Gateway. Let's find out what Sam Mayer is thinking with Alex Hayden.
Well, Bob, he had the opportunity just to see the replay there. From your seat, describe that pass that ended up being for the win.
I wouldn't really call it a pass, but I mean, GMS put together a great car for us to run out here. GMS Fabrication. I mean, everyone who supports me, Chevrolet Accessories, we definitely, I wouldn't say had the best car, but we're in position to win, and it just got taken away from us. But I mean, it'll happen eventually, and we're gonna move on. And I don't even know where we race next, but everyone at Drivers Edge Development, I can't thank them enough for what they do, and we're gonna go out and win one soon.
At such a young age, how do you handle such adversity on the wrong side?
You just move on, honestly. You just got to look at video and see what you can do to fix the problem and get in the other side of things. And I think that's what I have to learn coming to these bigger tracks. And honestly, I felt clean air for the first time, and it felt really good. So I can't wait to feel that again. But going to these places and learning a lot of stuff is really what's going to help me develop.
Solid effort tonight. Just a little bit short tonight for Sam Mayer, but he handles it like a pro.
And I understand the emotion from Sam Mayer, but Jim Trado, do you think he, Marty Lindley, that team are going to look at that tape and maybe even think something a little bit different during the week?
Well, they know they have the speed. It just came down to track position, and Ty Gibbs was so good on turn 3 entry. Give all the credit to Gibbs to pour it in there. Sam may have expected it. He may have thought he had a clean entry into the corner, but I saw the wiggle as Ty Gibbs got to the 21 car. That's what I think Sam will study the most, how to prevent that from happening, how to keep that line. Ty Gibbs thought if Sam stayed low, he would not have had a chance to pass him. Sam Mayer had a great run. Definitely learned a ton here tonight at Gateway.
11 races down, 9 more to go. And just coming up this week, Thursday, Chicagoland Speedway, Joliet, Illinois. And then we'll be back on the air with MAV TV on one of my favorite races of the year when we go to Elko, Minnesota.
It's a great short track. If you don't have your tickets yet, get them at Menards near Elko Speedway and come and enjoy the party on July 13th.
Iowa Speedway, back to a short track / super speedway there on July 19th. That will be action-packed as well. Jim, this was an incredible race here. We got some great racing coming up, but today we saw something very special. Young Ty Gibbs go to victory lane in the shadows of St. Louis.
And the great thing about it is the story to be told, the fun we had, and all the anticipation of the rain going away and the sun baking this racetrack, making those calls. Veterans and rookies alike had a hard time here at this racetrack, but that Ty Gibbs kid didn't turn a wheel wrong again today, except for that one miscue on pit road.
For Alex Hayden, Jim Trado, everybody at Lucas Oil Production Studios, I'm Bob Dillner saying thank you for watching here from Gateway, and a big congratulations, Ty Gibbs.